No, it's not mine. Sorry. I've got people knocking on my window. Geez. All right. Today's February the 8th. I called this meeting to go ahead and start. Any public comments? Any business? Consent to the agenda? Has everybody had a chance to look over the minutes from January the 11th?
We'll do those like we did last time.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? Agenda approval. All in favor?
Move
Is
with
that good?
You made a motion, Mike, a second? Okay.
Now vote.
And moving right along, do we have the director's report?
She's in a hurry.
You can make this a 15-minute meeting.
Yeah.
We have some numbers from 2020. I usually give you the annual report. And it's a little different this year, obviously, because of COVID. But some of the things are very, you want a copy?
I'll go read on your phone.
Oh, you don't have to do that. Okay. Hard to read on your phone.
I'm going to do a little bit pretty quick. I just got this one.
Yeah, so we didn't have obviously the traffic coming through the agency that we normally would, because we shut down early in the year to comply with the COVID recommendations, the fact that we have very small offices and we can't keep people 6 feet apart, and assure that people are wearing masks and so forth. So what we did instead of having people come in, almost all of the programs now, all of the programs have applications available online. We put applications out in the hallway, and we put a drop box out. It's a secure drop box where people can drop off information or applications in the drop box. And so that's how we've been operating this year. Child support this year, we collected $554,004. So over $500,000 in funds was collected for the children from absent parents. Child Protective Services, we've seen a drop off in reports, 65 less than last year. We accepted 33 less than last year. And we think, attribute a lot of that to the fact that the children have not been in school consistently. And during school, that's usually where we get the bulk of our reports, where teachers and counselors and school nurses are seeing children on a daily basis, and they will report any changes for those kids. For the children, we're not having those reports come in as frequently as we would if school were open consistently. We have averaged 33 children per month in custody for foster care. That's pretty much about the same as it was last year. We currently have 15 foster homes licensed, and that's 4 more than we had last year. We had 5 adoptions last year. We have several pending right now, including some sibling groups, so we expect that to go up. Adoption assistance continues to be 65 children. That's the same as last year. We have daycare subsidy at 60 children per month served. Right now we have 12 on the waiting list, operating on the state recommendations. And the allocated state and federal funds available during 2020 was $384,852. We've seen the same drop off with adult protective services that we've seen with child protective services. We had 51 reports screened and we screened 31 out. When I say screened out, that doesn't mean that we didn't do anything to help those people. It just didn't qualify as an adult protective services report. So oftentimes we would still check with those people, see if there's something that we could do to assist them. We have 8 wards under guardianship services continuing. We have 2 homes here. The rest homes in the county are monitored by our staff. And that's been a challenge with the COVID as well. Energy assistance, the SIP program, we had 235 cases and $64,311. The LEAP program, 246 cases and $64,311. And then the state automatically qualified people who received last year, and that was an additional $68,571. So that is what, almost $200,000 in revenue coming into the county for the fuel oil providers, the wood providers, and helping the citizens keep warm. Food stamps was up this year. We had 150 more households than the previous year. And that's a total of 1,549 individuals. Hello, Ava.
Hello, I'm sorry I'm late.
You're good.
Is the 1549 that many households or that many participants?
Individuals.
So like if the family is a 5, that would all be, like all 5 would be counted in that.
Work first, we averaged 236 per month per household, and there's 16 participating households. And 4,000 individuals are served by Medicaid. That's approximately 2,803 families.
4,000.
4,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
you can see we're still serving the public, even more so, even with the COVID. And a lot of that this year has been that the federal and particularly the federal government has been pouring money into services and making it easier for people to qualify for some programs. So that's just a comparison from last year to let you know where we're at. Any questions on that one?
That's a lot of work.
It is tremendous amount. And when you consider that people have been out sick, staff members have been out sick and not able to be here every day, it's been a big challenge. Big challenge. The staff has really stepped up. I put on the agenda the discussion of when and if we will reopen, and I wanted to put this before the board so that there can be an open discussion. We don't know when this COVID situation is going to resolve, if it's going to resolve, what it's going to look like. I feel personally that we have been able to serve the public I think the numbers show that. But at the same time, I think there's a certain connotation when you have your door locked. So I wanted to give the board an opportunity to share their opinions with this. Let us know what you think, and we'll be happy to comply with what you decide. Crickets.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll say something, Barb. I think you're absolutely right. I think the need is being met, but I think it gives maybe not the most welcoming connotation if the door's locked. And I don't think that that's necessarily hampered the services, but it might still give the impression of it's maybe just another physical barrier to go through if people are, say people just, say, hey, you know what, I think I'll drop by and get some information about foster care. But, and maybe it's just the idea of like, well, the door's locked, maybe not today. And then that's maybe one potential family you lose. I don't know. I think you're right on the money. I think the image is maybe not the most favorable. Does that make any sense at all? That sound totally weird.
No, that sounds right. Have you discussed opening back up? What kind of plan you would have in place?
Yeah, as I noted, and if you've been in up and down our hallway, you know that most of our offices are very tiny. And you cannot be 6 feet away from anyone. You can, of course, wear your mask and have them wear a mask, but you can't be 6 feet away from them. So if you're going to interview and to provide for confidentiality, the only thing that we have thought of that we could do would be to have people one at a time come into the conference room here and meet with their workers. Now, I don't know what kind of backlog that would be. I mean, I don't expect we're going to be inundated with people right away, but it might result in some long waits for people because we just don't have a facility that allows for confidentiality and for being 6 feet apart. That's our concern that we talked about having people wait in the hallway and have one family at a time come into the lobby and then have them come into the conference room here, which would allow the distance.
So some of the judges up here in the courthouse are only allowing people to come in one at a time, case by case, are allowed in the courtroom. And if it's not your time to come in, you wait in the car.
Yeah.
Is there not a conference room on the other side of the hall that could be utilized as well?
It's not a conference room.
It's just that, like the little lobby area, foyer.
Yeah, I've never been through there. I don't know.
It wouldn't be confidential. It wouldn't provide the confidentiality.
I'm going to tell you what I think. DSS and senior center. Of course, obviously the senior center is closed because of who they deal with as well. Senior centers, citizens. But they are the only two departments in the county that are not open for business full time with everyone back to work. And I spoke with Miss Barbara about this, and she knows how I feel. I think that everyone needs to return to work just like before COVID And we need to adhere to the county policy. Now, I don't know if y'all have seen the county COVID policy, the ones commissioners passed or not, but it is an updated policy, somewhat similar to the first one, but it has taken a lot of the abuse out. There's still 80 hours available to employees. It's not an additional 80 hours, it's 80 hours originally, if they can use up to a maximum of 80 hours. But it has to be COVID related to them. And someone, even when we were going over this, someone even said, well, what about people with small children when they close schools? I'm sorry, we're a year into this. If parents have not made arrangements for their children within the last year for somebody to watch them, and they have to stay at home with them, that'll be an annual leave day or sick day. Because in a year's time, you can make arrangements for your children. I know my family has. So I would suggest that we go back wide open, as safe as we possibly can be, and business as usual. And everybody back to work. And if they're not at work, then it's annual leave or sick leave.
Yeah. I agree.
This is a county department, and all the other departments, other than the senior center, but the same people work for the senior center are there. They're just not feeding people. Does that make sense? But they're working. So DSS is the only department that is not fully operational with people on site. Sorry,
No, you're fine.
but it,
I've had.
and
the
believe me, I hear a
discussion.
lot of complaints.
What we did when we first started, and I think I discussed this with you all, I didn't want everyone to become sick at the same time, which is what happened over here. So CPS, I sent them home with their laptops. I said, work from home. Because if all of them got sick at the same time, we would have no one to provide child protective services. And that is what they have done. They have 2 people on site every day here in the office. They rotate that, and the rest of them have been at home and have been working. I can confirm that. They have kept their caseloads up. They have done their visits with children. They have been working. Now, I have spoken with Kelly and Raquel and told them that that time is coming to an end and they needed to make plans to come back to the agency and have everyone in the office. But at the time that decision was made, it was made to keep everyone from becoming sick at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what we had here for about 3 weeks. And it's not very pleasant. But that can be remedied. I don't have a problem with that at all.
I just feel like that we at least need to making the transition of getting back to normal. If it was up to me, schools would be open.
Absolutely.
Monday through Friday. I mean, it's starting to get ridiculous.
Absolutely.
And it has created a burden on the staff, those that have kids. I have to say, and yes, they are responsible for making plans for their children, but oftentimes they don't know. They get something in the afternoon that says we're closed for the next 3 weeks. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Woody, is there anything in that policy about taking temperatures of people that are coming in, the requirement that customers are wearing masks at all times? I mean, what are the expectations for?
The mask mandate is not only statewide, but nationwide now.
Just is that spelled out in the policy so that can be for people coming in for services, that's that is spelled out so there's something to fall back on if people refuse to wear a mask?
If they refuse to wear a mask, then they refuse service, is my understanding.
Okay, well, that's what we do for the hospital. I just didn't know if that was the county.
That's what we do too.
Yeah, if you refuse to wear a mask, we will not see you, period.
Or if they have a medical condition, you just take their word.
We don't, there are no exemptions for the hospital.
I have.
Wear a mask.
Just wear a mask.
People are gonna claim. I'm just
But I
trying to
do.
cover our bases.
And what we do here is we check everybody's temperature when they come in, and we keep a record of it.
Are you the staff or the client?
Pardon?
The staff or the clients coming in?
Both. We check our temperature every morning. And then if you have a client or an employee coming in, normally we keep our door locked and they call us from the car. So, because we're only letting so many people in at a time here. But they have to.
Your door does stay locked?
Pardon?
Your door does stay locked?
We had it locked. We've been opening it now, but we're still having our employees, if they come by to get something, we're still having them call before they come in. And we've been trying to just meet them at the door unless we've got something for them to sign or some training or something to do. But if it's just to like pick up gloves or whatever, we've just been meeting them at the door. So, I mean, I don't know, but the temperature checks would definitely have to be in place, I would think.
I would think so too.
We do have thermometers that we can use, the scanning thermometers.
That's what I just fixed and see if I could find you one.
No, we've got two. I'm just trying to figure out the logistics and who's gonna be responsible, that type of thing, but that's our problem, not yours. So we'll deal with that.
Our front office people, when our patients check in, they just shoot them in the forehead with the temperature gun. And we don't keep a log of patient temperatures. We just make sure it's under, I think, 100.7, I think it is.
Yeah.
And then they can come on in. Our lobby is open, but we have taken out half of the chairs, and everything is, your lobby is much smaller than ours, but we have spaced everything out, taken out half of the chairs. So when you sit, you are automatically 6 feet away from anybody else, but that's more difficult in your lobby, I think, Barbara.
Yeah. Well, I have a management team meeting Wednesday. And I will put this before them and say, okay, this is what we've got to work with. How are we going to do it? We can make it work, but it's just going to be different.
All right, Madam Chairman, will you entertain a motion?
Are you doing this, Vanessa?
Will you entertain a motion?
Over.
I'd like to make a motion that DSS be back open, business as usual, and that all employees report to work as usual, as expected. And in the event that someone is not at work, that they be charged with an annual leave day or sick leave day at Miss Barbara's discretion, and that she be responsible for seeing that everyone's here and doing their job.
I second.
Vanessa, do you want me to take over?
Sure, take over. All in favor. It doesn't matter.
Aye. Okay, so are we down to closed session?